Captain Jake Morrison stared at the diplomatic shuttle approaching his research station, feeling a familiar knot forming in his stomach. The sleek vessel bore the distinctive silver markings of the Vortani Empire, and he knew exactly who was aboard. 3 years had passed since his last encounter with Ambassador Kira, the young Vortani diplomat who had nearly caused an interstellar incident with her impulsive decisions and teenage bravado. The docking bay pressurized with a soft hiss, and Jake straightened his uniform. As the station's chief xenobiologist and reluctant diplomatic liaison, he had hoped never to see the purple-skinned, four-armed alien again. Their previous meeting had ended with her declaring herself basically an adult at 73 cycles before making unauthorized contact with a hostile species that nearly sparked a war. The airlock cycled open, and out stepped Kira, now visibly taller and more mature than before. Her iridescent scales had deepened to a rich violet, and her movements carried a newfound confidence. Behind her walked an imposing figure Jake didn't recognize, a massive Vortani male with ceremonial scars covering his arms. Captain Morrison, Kira said, her voice having lost some of its youthful pitch. I have returned to complete unfinished business. Jake's heart sank. Ambassador Kira, what brings you back to Station Prometheus? The large Vortani stepped forward. I am War Leader Thane, protector of the young ambassador. We come seeking your assistance with a matter of grave importance. Let me guess, Jake said, running a hand through his graying hair. Another species you want to make first contact with against protocol? Kira's 4 eyes flashed with what Jake had learned was embarrassment among her people. Captain, I acknowledge my previous actions were rash. I have since completed my coming-of-age trials and earned the right to speak for my people in diplomatic matters. Congratulations, Jake replied dryly. But that doesn't explain why you're here. Thane's expression darkened. 3 cycles ago, the ambassador made contact with a species called the Nexari. This contact has led to unexpected consequences. Jake felt his blood pressure rising. What kind of consequences? The Nexari are now demanding a formal alliance with humanity, Kira explained. They believe humans possess superior tactical thinking after analyzing our brief encounter. They have threatened to consider any refusal as an act of hostility. You've got to be kidding me, Jake muttered. What exactly did you tell them about us? Kira shifted uncomfortably, her scales rippling with nervous energy. I may have mentioned humanity's reputation for unconventional problem-solving and fierce loyalty to allies. I also shared some historical data about human military achievements, including— What, specifically? The details of your species' victories against overwhelming odds, she admitted. The Battle of Thermopylae, the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, the Luna Colony Defense, the Siege of New Geneva. Jake stared at her in disbelief. You gave them our complete military history? Only the most inspiring examples of human courage and ingenuity, Kira protested. I thought it would demonstrate why humanity deserved respect in the galactic community. Thane nodded gravely. The Nexari were indeed impressed, perhaps too impressed. They now view humanity as the ultimate warrior species, can desire to recruit you for their expansion plans. Expansion plans? Jake's voice rose an octave. The Nexari are preparing for war against the hegemony, Kira explained. They believe human tactical superiority, combined with their advanced weaponry, would guarantee victory. They have given us 30 standard days to arrange a meeting with your leadership. Jake slumped into his chair, feeling the weight of potential catastrophe settling on his shoulders. Let me get this straight. You convinced a militant alien species that humans are the galaxy's greatest warriors, and now they want to recruit us for a war against one of the most powerful empires in known space. That's an accurate summary, Thane confirmed. And if we refuse, they will interpret it as cowardice or, worse, secret alliance with the hegemony, Kira said quietly. Either way, they would likely attack human colonies to force our participation. Jake buried his face in his hands. When he looked up, both aliens were watching him expectantly. Why come to me? I'm just a scientist running a research station. Because, Kira said, you are the human who showed me that true wisdom comes from understanding consequences before taking action. You taught me that good intentions without proper planning lead to disaster. I did that when you prevented me from making contact with the hegemony probe 3 years ago, she continued. You explained how my desire to prove myself could endanger both our peoples. Your patience and guidance helped me mature into the diplomat I am today. Thane stepped forward. The ambassador has requested you serve as humanity's representative in negotiations with the Nexari. Your reputation as both scientist and peacekeeper precedes you. Jake laughed bitterly. My reputation? I'm known for keeping young diplomats out of trouble, not preventing interstellar wars. Perhaps those skills are exactly what this situation requires, Kira suggested. For several moments, Jake sat in silence, weighing his options. The smart choice would be to contact Earth Command and let them handle the crisis. But by the time bureaucratic processes ran their course, the Nexari deadline would pass and human colonies would face attack. What do you propose? He finally asked. Kira's scales brightened with hope. We arrange a meeting between you and the Nexari leadership. You demonstrate that while humans are indeed formidable, they prefer peace to conflict. Perhaps you can redirect their admiration toward cooperation rather than military alliance. And if they're not interested in peaceful cooperation, then we prepare for the alternative. Thane said grimly. Jake stood and walked to the viewport, gazing out at the stars. Somewhere among those distant lights, an aggressive species was planning humanity's future without their consent. The irony wasn't lost on him that his attempt to mentor a young alien diplomat had somehow made him responsible for his species' survival. All right, he said, turning back to face them. I'll do it. But this time, we're doing things my way. No more surprises. No more unauthorized revelations about human capabilities. And definitely no more impromptu first contact scenarios. Kira's 4 arms spread wide in a gesture of gratitude. Thank you, Captain Morrison. I promise to follow your lead completely. Famous last words, Jake muttered. But he was already planning their approach to the next Aridot as he began outlining his strategy. Jake couldn't help but wonder if this was how all great adventures began, with a young alien's good intentions and an older human's reluctant acceptance of impossible odds. At least this time, he was going in with his eyes wide open. The question was whether that would be enough. Chat controls Sonnet 4.